We're on. We're on, baby.
What's up?
Cheers, mate. Good to have you on the show, buddy.
Thanks, bro.
It's we tried to organise it for a little while, but you've been busy doing stuff. You're a pretty busy man.
I
And
think last year sometime, yeah.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
no time like the present though.
yeah. That's it. Now we've got
Now
now
we've
you got
got all the
time,
time in the
all the
world,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. What's been happening in your world? Because obviously you're pretty heavy into with artists and stuff. What's going on there at the moment? What are you guys doing?
Bits and pieces. It kind of all came to a pretty abrupt halt.
Yeah.
Sort of saw it coming a few weeks before and sort of started preparing, but I don't think anyone knew that it was going to stop.
Mm.
So that's been a bit weird. We've been just doing bits and pieces and making sure if we do come back on at whatever capacity it's going to be, we're going to be prepared for it. But there's only so much you can do, I guess, at the moment. So
Ready to hit the
lots of
ground running now.
back end, and just trying to make sure that when all the artists sort of do start playing again, they've got the content and got all the stuff they need to hit
So you're
the
on their
ground
back
running.
about making music and all that kind of stuff for
Kind of
when they're out, or edits for shows and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them had a lot of backed up content regardless, so we're sort of like sitting on stuff anyway. But I mean, making sure they're prepared and all that sort of stuff, and doing as much as they can and working on their own brands and
That's it. Because they've probably all got the time now, right?
Well, I think before a lot of them were sort of, I mean, we did quite a lot in that sort of side of the business as well. So I think over this period, we sort of are trying to be push onto them that it is your
You've
brand,
got
it's
it.
your
What do
business.
you want it to? You've got to have you've got
use
to
this
take
time.
the lead.
Use this time while you've got it and get into it.
Yeah, and maybe time to tell their story a bit more, because there's always that argument of brand versus story, as to, how you run things. And I suppose this time is a great time for them to think about that, how can they tell that story and stuff like that.
And who they are as an artist and all that sort
Exactly,
of stuff.
yeah, because you guys going to do so, like, you can give them direction and help them and that kind of stuff. But, I mean, they're the artists at the end of the day, aren't they? So,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So who do you like, who's on your agency? Who do you guys represent?
Tenzin, Bonka. I mean, there's a whole list of things. You
There's
can
huge,
just check it on the website. But,
just a couple. Give us a couple for anyone who's listening.
yeah, Tenno. We had him since back early in the day, same as the Bonka boys.
Yeah.
And then we sort of built the agency up. We've now got Kate Fox and Caitlin and AK, and we're working on a whole bunch of like newer kids as well.
Yeah, cool.
Building their brand, but a whole bunch now. So
Yeah, sweet. Is Benny still out there with you?
yeah, man.
Yeah, sweet. I haven't seen him in years, man.
Haven't you?
Yeah,
He's been working hard.
Years, man. Probably looks so different now.
Probably not.
No, probably not.
Probably the
He's
exact
always
same.
had a bit of a baby face, yeah.
Yeah, so he's looking after all the bookings predominantly.
Okay, yeah.
When we started, we were sort of all doing bits and pieces, and I was doing a bit of bookings as well, and we've sort of found our roles over time. But yeah, he predominantly handles all that sort of stuff, and I'm mostly doing the management and a bit of the label stuff as well. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So you guys have a label attached to...
We do,
you
Mr.
guys
White.
too?
Yeah,
What's it called?
Mr. White.
I think I've seen that. Need to pay more attention.
We're not.
Have you pushed it much, or it's sort of like... Would people know it's attached to you guys, or is it something you just run sort of separately?
Yeah, so when we first started the label, we had Catch as a label, as a record label.
Yeah.
And we sort of decided at some point, I'm not really sure why, but we decided to sort of give it its own identity. But one thing we don't really do that much is push it in people's faces. I mean, I don't really see a need for making it something like that. I mean, it's there to do a job.
Yeah.
So we just get it done.
Distribution, little bit of promo, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, we've had some pretty good successes with it. Like our theory is definitely less is more, and quality over quantity, and mainly housing our own guys.
Yeah. So I suppose that's why it doesn't, you're not really trying to build an
No,
audience
we're not trying to be like a
base,
big...
to base it off, You're not trying to bring in other artists from other places to sort of go, look, this is what we can offer because we've got this big, base and stuff.
Well, I think we hit a point where we'd been doing that for so long and knew so much about that side of the business that we were kind of like, in some cases, it's better to put this stuff out ourselves. And give the artists a bigger slice of the pie as well.
That's right, yeah.
As opposed to going with another label that could, every release is different, but in some releases, if an artist just wants to put a record out to tour from and hit the club chart and,
Yeah.
you know, get some playlists
Yeah.
and, you know, to back up their touring, then, you know, that's stuff we can do for them.
Yeah. Easy. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no real need to be calling on other labels and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's sort of
And like you said,
why we set it up.
giving them some of like the, you know, cut of the pie and stuff as well.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not an easy industry at times. So, you know,
It's good
be
to
able
own your own masters and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff in a sense
Yeah,
as well. You know,
exactly.
like these guys now, Bonka, for example, one of their latest releases, we were controlling everything, and someone from North America hit us up and wanted to license over there, and we were able to do that. You know, there was no one to say no, and there was no one
Yeah,
to
you
say, well,
could do
why,
it, yeah.
or we want that territory, or, you
Yeah.
know, like we were like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the best thing for the artist. Let's do it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
and they Billboard charted off the back of that, and there's
Nice,
just,
yeah.
you know, things that come in having the power and the holding the tools that
Yeah, yeah. Sort of having control of everything. Sort of, you can have more well-rounded plan because you're looking out
100%.
for the the best thing for the artist and the agency, which is
Not
the whole
just
thing, not
the-
just the label or
and
not
the-
just
the
the
income,
artist
the
or the
streaming and
income.
all
Yeah,
that, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really cool. That's clever to do, and you know, you see so many artists when they do make it big, or you know, or even smaller artists start their own label because of that exact same reason. You know, they want to have that control and have that piece of the pie and be able to put stuff out whenever they want for
Mhm.
whatever reason they want. You know, so
Well, everything's different. Every artist is different. Every release should be treated differently. But
Yeah.
I think, I mean, if you're starting your own label and you don't have the tools, and I mean, you can put it out yourself and get a bigger slice of the pie. But if
yeah,
no one's hearing it, or you,
Yeah.
you know,
that's right.
too
Yeah,
sure what you're doing, then it may be
Yeah.
better off for you to sign with a label. Or
yeah, yeah,
and there's things that we do with Mr. White that we can't handle. That we're just, you know, we don't have the tools or we haven't built up that side of
Yeah.
those genres or things like that.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
contacts in those
Yeah.
fields that we're gonna try and, you know, get those releases signed.
Yeah,
To another label. But yeah, I guess everything's different. When we can do it ourselves and we know we can do a good job,
yeah,
then we'll do it. You know.
yeah. Of course.
Um,
And how's that ISO late thing going? Because you know, if people don't know that, you know, Catch and that you guys, you know, manage those artists.
well,
And
Maddie
stuff
Lee
like
hit us
that.
up and it's been pretty chill. Like we haven't had to do much.
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
honest. But Maddie Lee and the Together guys, I think, put it all together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just hit us up and said, do you guys want to judge? We've got a heap of talent that he basically just, you know, wanted to check out who's still got passion.
Yeah.
When people are DJing for free and,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, there's
Yeah,
not much
yeah.
going on. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
who actually cares, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So let's find out who all those kids are and scope them out. And that's sort of, I
Yeah.
think, the reason behind it. So he just
Yeah.
hit us up to judge, and
Yeah.
I think we're giving
you've been
away some of
watching
our
it.
studio time at
Oh, yeah, I
the
saw
studio
that.
at the
Yeah,
office
yeah.
and stuff. So
And you said you guys have just sort of moved into a space. Is that what you were saying before the podcast?
it's
you got
it was
something
just
sorted?
shitty timing, like, because we just spent like
Yeah.
a month building this new space at California Lane in the Valley.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're right next to Q Music, and Appra's around the corner, and
Yeah.
there's heaps of. It's
That's
a good
sick.
hub, man.
Yeah,
There's like
yeah,
like-minded
right in the
people
mix of it,
everywhere.
yeah.
Cut Loose is across the road. Ex Cargo across the road. So
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
lots
so
of
you're down
friends
that
and
down that little area there.
Mm.
Yeah. Cool.
really cool space.
Yeah.
Everything in there's
That's cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
So we were pretty fortunate, bro, to get it, and
Yeah.
we put a little studio in there and
Yeah. Nice.
renovated it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's looking pretty schmick, but we got all that done and finished, starting to get back to work. and
Yeah.
yeah.
And then so you got that done before the
Yeah, we
COVID
did.
hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
There's
that's
still
good.
like little bits and pieces
Yeah,
to do,
yeah.
but
No, I mean, as I know now, owning a studio, like it's never finished. There's always more things that you're like, oh, we need to fix.
you
Like
wanna
we're
have.
like, oh, we need to put it on a panel here. We need to put something on the back wall. Like
Yeah.
like it's never.
that's pretty much all we're doing now.
Yeah.
It's just we were looking at a bunch of artwork the other day, and we were gonna
Yeah.
buy a heap of stuff, and I thought, because I do design as well, and I thought,
Yeah,
"Bro,
yeah.
I can do this, I can copy it." So we're
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of doing bits and pieces like that at the moment, and doing our own stuff. So yeah, it should look pretty cool when it's done.
Yeah, that's cool.
The studio's all done now. My dad came in and built that all for us. He's
Oh,
he's
sweet.
chippy, so
Yeah, that's awesome.
got that done.
So it's
Still
good when you
charged
can-
us though.
Yeah, but probably, not bad rate. Probably
You say that,
for.
but
Yeah, yeah.
Nah.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah, no, it's looking pretty cool. So
Yeah, that's
I mean,
cool.
we're keen to get back and use it properly, and
yeah. So is that something that you'll be like hiring out to people, or is
we're
that
thinking
something?
about it.
Something, yeah. it's not going to be just. I suppose it's for your artists and everyone.
The
You've
space
got
was
it's gotta
quite
be your
big in the
umbrella
beginning.
too.
We were thinking about having other people in there as well,
Okay, yeah,
working,
bringing
and we
some other
got in and
space.
we just thought we're quite enjoying it, just being us and
Yeah,
being able to do what we do and crank. Because obviously we're listening to music all day, and
yeah,
so we were kind of like, let's just keep it ourselves now. So
yeah,
we've got a pretty big space that we
yeah. Well,
probably won't use
that's good.
to its capacity, but
Yeah,
it's cool to have. And the studio was just for our guys to come in and give them a space that, they can come into the office and talk about a record, and we can comment on it, and they can jump in and tweak and do the
Yeah.
things that we've just discussed, and
Yeah.
having that, and then come back out and talk about it more. That super helpful to us, and it's
Yeah.
going to be to a lot of the guys. So
yeah. To be able to talk about what needs to happen, and then
instead
they
of
can
over the
do it
phone,
right
or
there.
we can sit, and we can jump in with them.
Jump
We've
in
been
the
writing
studio,
music
yeah.
since we were pups, so
Yeah.
like we're not Avicii,
Yeah,
we're not
yeah.
crazy producers, but
Yeah. But
we've
you
done
know,
our bits. Yeah, we know,
you know,
our way around Ableton and
Yeah.
all that shit. So, and we both have a pretty solid ear, I think.
Yeah.
So it's good, man, to have a space for them to come through, and
Yeah, for sure. And you can even like go in and listen to it in the space as well.
right.
You know, like
yeah,
oh, how's it sounding? Oh, well, let's jump in the studio and listen to it. So you know,
Mhm.
you get the full. You
Yeah,
know,
that's right.
what it's actually sounding. You're not listening on some
100%.
average speakers or something. Not that you'd probably have that in the space. I imagine you've
I
got
don't know
it pretty
what's in there.
kitted out.
Benny's got some good ones in there. He
Yeah.
had them at home,
Yeah,
probably not being used for years. But,
yeah, that's
um,
right. Yeah,
So he chucked them in. We've got some rockets in like the office part,
yeah,
just
yeah.
for like
Just for
day to
listening
day
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I got a spare set at home, but we've got enough.
Yeah. Is it just you and Benny working there, and then you sort of you have to
And
outsource?
Migs now. So we hit
Oh
a
yeah,
point.
Mix is in too. Yeah,
We hit a point a year ago where he came on to do logistics.
Yeah.
And take that off Benny's plate.
Yeah.
And then recently, probably the last 3 or so months, it was just getting crazy, man. Like so busy.
Yeah.
And I just needed some help.
Yeah.
So he's sort of doing a lot of PA stuff for me. It was before all this stuff. But
Yeah.
He'll come back and
Yeah. Because that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like when you start taking on more artists and stuff, it's like things just sort of, start to multiply, don't they? Because it's
think it
easy
was
to
really-
focus on a few key ones, but then when you've got all these other ones and you're trying to maybe help them develop, people need more time.
I mean, it's madness at
Yeah.
some point. Like ideally, you don't want more than a handful of artists. I don't think any good manager.
Yeah,
should have
unless you've
more
got a
than that,
unless you've got a big
Unless you've got
team.
a big team.
Yeah, a couple
exactly.
of people
So that's
to
why
manage.
we sort of
Yeah.
pulled Migs on, and I think it was really hard for me having like spearheaded that whole side of things for so long. Sort of letting go a little bit of
Yeah, that's always it. Hey,
yeah.
talking about control before,
Yeah,
letting go of some
just
of the
letting
control.
go of
yeah.
shit and just being like, okay, like and he's learning a lot of stuff. So
Yeah,
figuring out how to get him involved and learn stuff without, and then still having to check everything over.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
all that stuff took
Yeah.
some time. And
until you can sort of
but-
just release and go, no, he knows how to do that. Like, it's all good. Like,
shit timing
Yeah.
again, because I felt like he was sort of just starting to come in and to his own.
Yeah.
And I remember one day we're sitting at the office and Benny said something and Migs gave him shit about it. And it was like kind of like he just was pretty quiet, and I was
Yeah.
like, I feel like you've just come into your own there, Migs. So
yeah.
you got some balls now.
Yeah,
so
yeah. You got a
to-
bit of confidence
to joke
there.
around.
Yeah.
Give Benny a bit of shit. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, we'll be back to whatever capacity. We'll
Yeah.
come back, and yeah, we'll see.
And we are just talking before about what we think like it's going to be like. What's any predictions for what's going to happen?
So
I mean,
many.
who knows?
So many,
who
bro.
knows really? Like we can only have our best guesses. But what?
I think the biggest thing is
What's
everyone
your
saying
thoughts?
when things go back to normal, which they're just not. I don't think. I think
Yeah.
normal is just not going to exist anymore.
Yeah.
So I think things are going to change. What capacity we go back to, I don't know. But I think we were talking about this today. I think because there's clubs popping up now that are starting to sell and promoters starting to throw the
Yeah.
towel in, and
Yeah.
I guess it's just who can weather the storm
Mm-hmm.
for whatever period it goes for.
Yeah.
As to how many clubs will still be there and how many people will still want to be booking DJs and things like that. But I don't think we're gonna have much of an issue in the long run. I think like people are always gonna want to go out and party
Yeah.
and dance and stuff. We're doing it as like cavemen dancing around a fire and shit.
Yeah,
And now
yeah,
we're doing
yeah.
it in front of an LED screen. So there's
Yeah,
no real difference.
Yeah.
Like it's
always
still the
gonna
same
be there.
concept. Like I think people are always going to want to do it, and I also think we might be looking at like a bit more of the rise of the promoter, perhaps,
Yep.
as opposed to the venues booking
Yep.
in house and things like that.
Yep.
I think if venues
So people
can't
bringing in.
maintain their spaces and stuff, I mean, there's still going to be tons of licensed venues, that we can hire out and do parties at. So
Yeah. There's
we'll
a lot of
see.
overhead to open up for anything, so you got to be pretty, pretty
I've been there.
guaranteed.
It's not fun having like
that's
bulk
it.
overheads and
That's it.
it's pretty difficult. The biggest thing is people say, oh, when clubs can reopen, and it's like, but at what capacity? Like having 10 people in a venue is not going to do shit for you.
Yeah.
A lot of these venues have to trade at maximum capacity just to make a bit of money. Like if you rip half of their guts out, patron wise, like especially they're not making cash. They're going backwards.
Some of them are so big venues, people don't think about cost of security, bar staff. You got your bar backs and I think
it's more like over this period. It's like insurances and and even if you are getting a kickback on rent, you're still paying some rent. Yeah. Like even if you're not paying all those things at the moment, like DJs and bar staff and security and all those things can be stopped at the moment. You're still going into debt in other ways. And it's just about who can weather that storm, until things do go back to a point where they can hit profit again, So it's pretty scary for a lot of people, I think. But
it's not a good time to be. Well, maybe it is, but, having a nightclub at the moment would be a pretty stressful time, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
No.
Like I said, I've been there before.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't wish that on anyone at a good time.
Yeah.
But especially not at the moment. No.
Yeah.
It's just crazy times. But I don't know. I guess if you're passionate and you'll find a way,
That's it.
It might weed out the shit.
And who knows? Maybe there'll be some cool concept that'll someone will come up with.
People are going to get creative, aren't they? When they've got.
Well, they're going to have to, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We were talking about this today, adapting. I mean, if we come back and there's only 30% of venues left, God knows when we're going to open up.
Yeah, especially back to full capacity.
Full, it could be next year.
So you might have 50 people. You might have max 100 people for a year. It could be. How many
are people really going to want to go? Are people really going to want to go out to that? That's the question.
Yeah, but how many venues can, like we said, can support themselves with 100 people in the club?
That's right.
Not many, I don't think.
No, not many.
That's not a lot of people for a club when you think about it.
No. Well, I mean, you can get crafty if you've got separate rooms and you've got things like that. I mean, people are always going to find a way, aren't they?
Yeah.
I saw the Beat before this was doing running it as 5 separate venues or something crazy.
Yeah, trying to get it.
People are trying to be shifty, but
that's always around, isn't it? But who knows? I mean, it's probably never going to happen, but I'd love to see them lift some restrictions on alcohol taxes and things like that, just to help the clubs in those times, because like we said, if
I'd love to be optimistic, but I think it's probably the last industry that's going to get help. To be honest. I mean, we always have been. Yeah, it's always been like that, where it's pretty tight and it's a struggle to maneuver your way through it.
If anything, they're trying to lock it down more. You know? They're trying to bring in new regulations and scanners.
We could go through conspiracy theories all day about.
Oh, you got some conspiracy
no, I don't
theories?
No, I'm not getting into it. I'm not.
I've never heard one about it.
Haven't you just thought though that maybe they might just hold it out as long as they can, just to see how many they can.
But how much money how much money does it introduce into the economy though? I think it's a fair bit, eh?
Yeah, it would be a fair bit.
Plus all the alcohol tax, plus...
Depends what sort of city you want to run, though. Like, do you want
That's true, yeah.
Do you want a city of... You've seen the Valley on a weekend? You know what I mean?
It's sick, bro. It's sick. It's sick. Yeah.
So, who knows? But talking shit now, but yeah.
Well, yeah. If you've got any conspiracies out there, let us know. I've never thought about it as a conspiracy. I reckon it's just people who
I'm not saying it's a conspiracy.
I just thought of it as people who don't understand it, from a different generation.
I was more saying... as to when they let us go again. And, how long will they hold us off?
That's it, I suppose.
Things like that. But
yeah, it just depends on...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all up in the air, isn't it? That's what...
Well, it's the not knowing thing, hey? It's crazy.
Yeah, and even though they do have some plan to get back to normalcy, it's like if we have a big outbreak, they'll just roll it back. And it's like, oh, okay, so... We've got to go back again, and it's like...
Well, will they? I don't know. Maybe they're prepared enough now that curve is probably a lot higher, and they can probably let
Who
a few more
knows?
people
Yeah.
get it, and maybe they won't roll things
Yeah.
back as much as they did.
That's
I don't know.
that's a good thing.
It's just who knows, bro.
Once we get
This
that
is the thing
vaccine.
too that I've learned over this period is like, you look at Facebook and people sharing articles, and
Yeah, yeah.
everyone's, and then you read one 5 minutes later that says something completely different. It's just like, I think I'm over sort of wondering and reading things, and because I think a lot of it's just no one knows.
Yeah, that's
You know,
right. It's a lot of it's
People have their
speculation.
opinions, and people are writing
Yeah.
articles, and
And it's like you gotta fact check everything so much just to see if it's like real. You know, you gotta go
That's
and
right,
do like
bro.
half an hour
Yeah.
of research, like see it, get a heap of articles that look at both sides, and then figure it all out. Like it's tricky, isn't it?
It's crazy when it all happened. We sort of went through that couple week phase where we were doing that heaps, and oh well, this read this and read that, and and
Yeah.
after a while it's just like, oh man, it's all just nonsense.
Yeah.
Like no one knows shit.
That's
you
why I
know?
started that other like online podcast that I do. This is not news, because I was just like exactly what you said. I was just sick of looking at the news and being like, reading the news and go, oh, what's next? And like, I
Yeah.
would just sit there for like an hour, 2 hours, just looking at news articles and things people shared. And I was just thinking to myself, man, I'm over this. Like, I need to
Same,
do something
yeah.
else. So that was my something else to
I actually
do.
put the phone down heaps over this period and
Yep.
just sort of use this time to, I don't know, like just sort of like see what was important, to me.
Yeah,
I
get back
guess.
to
And
you, I guess.
yeah, man. Like I feel like it's like, when you're, it's like turning the hum off. There was just so much shit going on, and we were
Yep.
so busy, and there was so much happening, and having like a period to just sort of unwind and step back
Yeah.
from that stuff, even if it was just for a couple of weeks there,
Yeah.
before we started doing bits again.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was good to really wind back. It was like the holiday you didn't know you needed, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. It was getting so hectic, and having that, just having that time to sort of chill was good.
Yeah.
Put the phone down and
Yeah. Yeah.
Get a
Just
bit
forget
refreshed.
about. Yeah. You not have to think 24/7 about.
it's hard
know,
when
what-
it's just a constant, of just like shit to do all the time. You get lost
Yeah,
in
yeah.
it, bro. And I
Yeah.
think the big picture stuff sort of takes a hit as well. You're not planning, you're not thinking as clearly about like end goals. And
Yeah.
it's more about like, got to get this done, got to get that done.
Because you're
This-
so busy.
Yeah,
what's
so busy,
going on
and
now? Yeah.
having some time to reflect on everything.
Perspective, I guess.
Yeah, it's been
like you
good.
said,
So
yeah.
blessing in disguise for me personally.
Yeah.
Like a little bit. So
I think for a lot of people, and maybe a lot of people haven't realized it yet, even, like maybe you've realized it, but like, I think a lot of people, after this is over, whenever that
Yeah.
is, might look back on it and think, oh, geez, that actually was a good thing. I think that's just my feeling, is that I think a lot of people that maybe don't realize it now, but, in the future it could be. And it could be the fact that like people have a career change or something. They were doing one thing,
Mhm.
before, and then that stops and they go, oh, well, I guess I got to do something else now. And then bang, it might be
either that
a
or you have some
blessing.
time off. And you're like, you know what? Wasn't enjoying that.
Well,
or-
yeah.
Um,
Sometimes, like you said,
man, there's
you
definitely
get
been parts
stuck
of
in
like
it.
stuff that we were doing that I've definitely been like rethinking. Like should we be doing as much of that, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Realigning our focuses on different things, and I mean we're gonna have to some extent.
Yeah.
Um,
'Cause things are going to be, like
I
you
just
said,
don't, yeah,
different.
we are gonna have to drop some things that just aren't gonna be fruitful. Like
Yeah.
So I know we'll see.
Monetized live streams might be a thing in the future.
We've been talking about this a lot,
Yeah.
and
I
think even
already know that there's some people working on it. I don't know exactly who, but I've
we had
heard
these
from people.
ideas to come out of the gate. We were going to do them week one, and then we just couldn't. Like we were in talks with APRA and PPCA about getting
Yep.
them licensed properly, and without Facebook, we felt it wasn't going to perform as well as we wanted it
Because
to.
that's the beauty of Facebook, is it just shares it to everyone who.
Well, it's never going to happen. And the
follows
issue,
you, like,
you see all these people talking about this stuff all the time at the moment. It's like
Yeah.
Facebook just monetize it, or
Yeah.
the problem is once it saves on Facebook, it stays there forever as a new copy of that record. So you're not
Yeah.
streaming it; you're effectively re-recording, and
Yeah.
you can't buy
It's not
licenses
a live
for that. So
performance. It's not a live
you-
performance. Like
you've
it's
ripped
just
it off.
recorded, yeah.
You've made a rip copy. It's like
Yeah.
it's that old LimeWire and stuff like. You're essentially
LimeWire,
just ripping
Napster.
music, yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Like it's once that's saved, that's it. A live stream, no issue with it. As
Yeah.
long as it disappears afterwards.
Yeah.
You can buy licenses for that, and that's
See, but
why.
you say that, but I mean, I've been uploading the live streams we're doing here to YouTube. Now, obviously, I can't monetize that because
Mhm.
it's it does figure out all the songs and the copyrights, and some of the songs, labels are like, no, we don't want that. That's got to be taken down. Like they won't let you have the clip
Are they
up.
making you pull the video down? Or they just
Some,
yeah.
some.
So smart
But-
ones are letting you have it up and just
Yeah,
monetizing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I can't monetize it, but if it does get monetized, they can monetize it for
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, if it's, you can just trim the clip out. Like it will allow you to, like YouTube will
Like
actually do
Facebook
that.
where it partially mutes
Yeah,
or-
yeah. Well, you can choose to either mute it or you can YouTube will actually cut it out, that little section for you as well if you want. So I've just been doing that at the moment because I just want the content up there. Like I don't need the money from it. It's just like, hey, this was the event. Like,
Yeah,
you know, if
yeah.
there's some bits missing, sorry, that's YouTube's fault. Like, you know, but obviously YouTube's got one of the best music algorithm, you know, things in the world.
Well, that's
to
the
be able to
problem
do
too
it.
with Facebook. Even if you know these big
Yeah,
platforms, even if you have the rights and stuff, they just pull it down anyway, and then they deal with it later, and they go, "Oh, you've got to go." No, I do have the rights for this.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
You know, so it's kind of
Yeah.
like you can't win. You know,
Yeah.
so
it's
those
tough.
sort of things we sort of ruled out straight away. But I can see streaming being a thing and monetizing streaming. I mean, I think major labels already. I've been reading that they're talking about this sort of stuff, as like, you know, like you could say pre-save this album from Drake, and we'll give you a link to a live stream that will run at this time. Only the guys that pre-save the album will be able to do it. He'll do a Q&A. He'll do this, that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
those sort of things. I think are smart ways to
Yeah,
move forward
more
with all of this.
interactive,
Yeah,
more sort of, yeah.
that I think people will start to do.
Sounds
But
like it's raining.
I think the DJing in front of a camera and paying money to see it, or you know,
Yeah.
I don't think that's got like super legs on
Yeah.
it. But
The only thing I can see happening is, I think it might be something that could save clubs if they can figure it out. Being able to have 100 people at your venue and live stream it, but you have to pay for the live stream as well. You know what I mean?
as long as you can do it on a platform where, like we were saying before, when it's over, it's over.
yeah, that's what
You
I
know what
mean.
I mean?
It's gotta be
Copies
like
of
that.
it, and it's not on
Yeah.
YouTube forever. And
It'd have to be like
you'd have
that,
to get
yeah.
label permission and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
Someone's got to figure it out.
but
Someone
yeah, man,
figure it out
it's,
out there.
It's definitely on the cards. We've been talking a lot about it as well, about monetizing events.
Yeah. Online events. sort
Online
of things.
events. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just hard
Or-
because, like you said, you don't really own the music, and a lot of people don't understand, even DJs and stuff, that when you play in a club, you are paying money to play those tunes. Like
You
through
are, and this
APRA.
is yes.
People don't even,
Yeah.
that's just what I mean. Even
Yeah.
DJs don't understand that when
Yeah.
you go and play at a club,
The
well,
venue's
no,
bought the rights.
The venue's paying
through PPCA and APRA.
Yeah, they're actually
when
paying
you're live
money
streaming
for
on
it.
Facebook, it's as if it's a
Yeah.
free for all.
That's not
which is,
happening
and
yet.
it's not good for us. You know, like it's funny watching these DJs say, you know, like let us do it. You know, like we want to live stream and shit. But it's like you're giving away all your intellectual property, bro.
Yeah.
Like if you're writing music and you're like as an
Yeah.
artist, you should be against that. You shouldn't be against the concept, but you should be against
Yeah.
doing it for free. We should be finding a way to do it and moving to different platforms where you can do it, you can monetize it, but perhaps you need to submit a license first, or
Yeah.
you know, and those things aren't crazy expensive, man.
Well, what about isn't Mixcloud's doing their live streaming? I haven't really looked into it yet, which I probably should. But Mixcloud's got like a live streaming
Yeah,
sort
right.
of platform they're doing. I don't think it's video though. I think it might only be audio. So I don't know quite how that works, but should look into that actually. So because that's interesting. But yeah, I've seen a lot of talk about that.
I think
and
it's
people are
definitely the one thing that's come out of it, that it's sort of like opening eyes, and I think people sort of
it needs a bit of a
discussing
shake up, doesn't it? Because the industry,
how it's gonna work in
as
the future.
far
I
as
don't
like
think-
rights, royalties and streaming and listening to music and stuff like that, it's changed so much from back in the day when you used to have to buy an actual physical copy of a thing.
yeah, bro,
do
$20
it.
vinyl, or
Yeah.
you know,
You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
used to be what, and the laws haven't really changed too much. I don't, as far as I understand. Between then you've still got, you do have obviously your streaming rights and things like that, but it's all still the same copyright, isn't it? You've still got your composition, performance, and stuff like that, like your mechanical rights and stuff like that.
You're saying as from physical to digital
To
or streaming.
digital, yeah.
It's all the same. Yeah,
It's basically the
essentially.
same, isn't it? They haven't really changed everything. They've
No.
just gone, oh, it's still it's still the same.
You still
thing.
get paid from the same people, and
Yeah, so they almost need to shake it up and try and figure out a better way of doing it. But how do you do it? Like, it's so tough to do. No one buys music anymore unless they're a DJ or something like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of that you get on promo. You know,
Mhm.
people just send it to you, so it's like, well, no one's actually buying music. So
Mhm.
the streaming, yeah, it's pretty difficult.
It's just, I mean, it's the best way to do it. It was, I mean, really, it's just, once Napster and all those things came out and people were stealing shit,
Yeah,
the big labels were like, we need to do something about
yeah,
this. And I think it's like kind of the best method they've have come up with. I mean, artists aren't making as much as they were, and labels aren't either, but at least they're making something as
yeah.
opposed to having no platform like that
Well,
and
basically,
people just stealing shit.
you have to rely on live performance and shows now, basically, don't you?
Well,
That's
this is
the
the
main.
issue we face now, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and now you can't do live performance and shows, so it's like, at the moment, you know, all these artists are
So
doing all this
monetizing
cool
your live
stuff.
streams and stuff is definitely going to be
Yeah,
a big thing. We were speaking about this, and we were like, well, when this is over, is it still going to be a thing? And I think there's always that aspect too of being able to reach. Like, you go play a venue. Let's say you're, I mean, we were talking about it on a large scale, but what if you, let's just say you're a DJ that plays a club to 500 people, or you can do a live stream to people all over the world. You know, if
Yeah.
you've got like an audience there
Yeah.
behind you, so like you're reaching far more people, and if you
Yeah.
can monetize it, the rewards are far greater, you
Yeah.
know, than just doing that one show for X
Yeah.
amount. So
how do you monetize it though? Like, that's the thing. But
Well,
but
you-
also then how do you keep it fresh? Because you know,
you can already, bro. There's
Yeah.
sites out there where you can go live. People pay their $10 ticket or whatever, and you can
yeah, just a paywall.
you
or
just get a
something.
license from APRA to make sure you're doing everything properly, and
Yeah.
you know, your broadcast rights and stuff like that, and off you go.
Yeah.
So you can do it, but the problem is it's like at the moment everyone's doing stuff for free. They're doing all these
Exactly,
free live
yeah,
streams, and it's
yeah.
like, why would I pay $10 when I can watch Dom Dollar on the weekend? You know, like
Yeah.
for free, or you know, like all these other people.
Exactly.
doing
I
them,
suppose
like-
it just depends how long this goes for and how long it takes. You know, because those big artists, they probably got money. You know, just saved. They don't really need to maybe make money at the
Well,
moment.
they're doing it to stay relevant, aren't they?
Yeah,
you
so
know.
that when we come back,
That's right.
they're going to be able to
They're
be
still in
be
people's
big. But
minds.
what happens if it gets prolonged and it's like,
Yeah, that's
well,
right.
they're like, oh shit, like I need money to live, like you know, like I'm gonna have to sell my mansion or some shit, you know, like they're not gonna want to do that. So it's like, I suppose it depends how long, but yeah, I mean, you know, I'm sort of at the same time quite optimistic at what could come out the other end, and I think people, you know, maybe like yourself and like me and a range of other people who have got like a small team. You know, if you've got a big team of people
Mhm.
that you have to pay and, you know, do all that, I think that's where it's a problem at the moment because, you know, obviously if you've got to pay all these people in a big label or
Or you
whatever.
just be like Carl Cox and beg everyone for money. Did
Yeah,
you see that?
yeah. Oh, that
Poor
was
guy.
that was pretty
Have you
funny.
seen his he's just been dropping all these gardening vids and all this shit on his
Oh,
Facebook
true.
now. He's just
Yeah.
like pottering around the house. He made leek soup last week. He's just like
He's
it's
just like
like
an old man.
dad's picked up the phone and he's like,
Yeah.
oh, doesn't have a team to post his socials anymore. And he's like, what's this
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah,
it's pretty
trying to
it's
figure
pretty
it
funny,
out.
bro.
That is funny.
Some of the
But
shit he's
yeah, I
posting's
think,
hilarious.
you know, when if you don't have a big team and you just a slim outfit, you know, just a couple of people, I think you've got more opportunity at the moment than people who have like a big, a big team without, you know, maybe you might have to cut some, you know, fire some people if you have a big team or whatever,
Yeah.
just to survive.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think that'd be the case, sadly enough. I think a lot of people would just be like, I mean, it's a business.
Yeah.
They're not just going to keep paying people for no reason.
doing nothing.
know,
Yeah.
So, who knows, bro? I guess everyone's different and every business is different at the moment. And we'll just see. I mean, we talk about clubs and stuff, but restaurants are the same. Like, there's
Yeah.
so much, like,
Yeah.
it's across the board. And it's sort of like, yeah, we're not going to be the only ones in this position.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose that's it. You know, the restaurants and that have been able to do delivery and takeaway.
But even that stuff, like, they're not
That's
making
what I
money
mean.
off that
That's
shit.
that's
you
the
know,
same.
like,
That's the same as live stream for our industry. You know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
think,
we'll see.
It's gonna be a shake up.
It's gonna be fun. I'm feeling like pretty reinvigorated for it all. And no matter what happens or what, if things change and we have to do things differently, like, so be it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that aspect of things where
Yeah.
it's not going to be the same old shit, and mundane. You know,
Yeah.
you have to come up with new ways to do things
To
and
stand out or
and
something.
learn
Less
and
players in the game.
yeah, just get a bit more creative and hustle.
Try new things.
Like
Yeah.
that side of things is good. I think it keeps things fresh and
I think it weeds out the people, like you said, with the DJ comp, the people who are in it actually in it for the passion. I made a post the other day that ruffled a few feathers and sort of said, some of you were never in for the music, and at the moment it shows. Like, and like people were like, oh, like you should have said that. Like some people have like actual mental health problems, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to the people, who you see who used to be like all about the hustle and grind, and then you see like all their stories and stuff are just them playing like video games and stuff now. You know what I mean? Like they're not working. And then you see the other guys who like it's the other way where it's like, oh, they were just DJs and stuff, and now you see like, oh, every week they're like dropping a new beat that they're working on, that they're production, and you see that oh, now I've got time because I'm not playing all these gigs and all that kind of stuff. I'm actually going to do what I said I was going to do, and you see him doing it, and I'm loving that.
100%. And each to their own. I think is like some people are taking a bit of time off and just fucking enjoying it and
which is fine as well,
finding the flame and all that stuff. Others are smashing bangers out and working really hard. Others are learning shit. Not necessarily doing what they were doing before, but using this time to, find new skills and all that sort of stuff. So I think everyone's different, and whatever way you want to use the time that's like productive in any manner is like.
That's right. And like you said, sometimes some people need to have that bit of a break. Like you sort of said, I need to.
There's definitely a period there. There was a couple of weeks there where I was like, wow, man, shit was like getting full on, and then you get bored. Pretty quick, and then I was like, all right, I'm good. That's awesome. What are we doing? So now we've just been
get out Ableton again, mate.
Oh, I had said it on an Instagram post the other day, and then I was just like, no. Me and Benny tried to do it recently, and it was fucking terrible.
That's exactly what Tommy said when he was on the podcast. Did he? He was like, oh man, I opened it up so bad, so rough, like. Yeah,
it's your workflow is just gone.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
you're relearning things, you're re-listening. You don't have your go-tos like, oh, this kick. I know I use that kick all the time
because you used to have all your sample library.
Like everything was. You knew where everything was.
You had your own presets you'd created and stuff.
Right. Yeah. So you're trying to write everything, and you're just like, oh, I don't know where anything is, and that ruins your creativity, bro.
Because you're not in that flow state. You don't
write because you're searching for shit 24/7. Yeah. It's like, fuck this.
You can't get into the flow of it how you used to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did music start for you then? Like, obviously, we're talking about production, and we mentioned Tommy used to be in Slop Rock together, and I'm sure you started well before then.
Just
how did it start for you?
Are you meaning like the EDM stuff or
anything, man?
Well, I was
music
playing,
to start with.
It's like the cliche. I was playing guitar as a kid and stuff.
Yeah,
like
how old did you start? Were you when you did it?
Like 5 or something.
Yeah. So it was real young.
Yeah. It's like begging Dad to buy me a guitar.
Classic story. Everyone's like, Dad, just get it for me, please.
Man, they were always so good. Like the amount of money they've spent on me as a kid and going through schooling and all that shit. It's just crazy, bro. So they were always really supportive and stuff. So anything I wanted to do, I was doing. And then it went on to drums and heaps of different bits. I was always that kid that like would just run around just picking up anything, things, I know my sister got the violin once. Was like, I'm gonna learn violin, and she was learning something for like 3 months. Couldn't nail it.
Yeah,
I was like, it's like this. And she's like, fuck you. And then she's like, that's it. Never played violin again. She was off it. So yeah, one of those kids. But and then I got a scholarship for guitar. I got a full scholarship, so nice. I had to go to a good school and did the music extensions and all that stuff. And
where'd you grow up?
Out in the sticks. We lived out at Lowood, like from S sort of. Got in between there and Ipswich.
Okay,
pretty close to Ippy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
let's just say Ipswich. I
know
you're not.
I'm trying real hard.
You're trying not to say Ipswich.
I even preferred to say Lowood. So
yeah. I could hear what you're doing there. But let's just say Ipswich.
And we just finished school and was really wanted to do a career in music, but I hated the theory. I just wasn't that sort of dude.
Music theory, I
just couldn't stand it. And
it's pretty boring, man. Like I understand a lot of it, but not that next level. But it's just.
And I was always quite capable, just and everything with school, but I just I couldn't pay attention for long enough. And if I had to put my mind to shit, could have done it. But
just bangers.
Just wasn't interested at all. And then what happened then? Bands and stuff like that, and then jumped
That's
into
you're in some bands and stuff.
yeah,
Probably
we're
on
in bands
guitar
and
then, I'd assume, if that was
guitar
your
and
main.
singing and stuff.
So guitar was your main,
Yeah, it
your main
was.
instrument. Yeah, yeah.
And after all that stuff, I think we all just hit a point where it was like it's hard to get people together, like 5 guys together all the time when you're growing
That's
up.
the problem, isn't it? And that's the
when
difference.
that's when we
like-
started DJing and shit, because it was like, well, I can do this without you guys. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah. I don't need to, and you don't have to like pander.
it
to
was
other
rehearsals
people.
and things like that.
Yeah,
that were
yeah, but you don't have
difficult,
to be someone's like, oh, what if we do this bit? And you're like, nah, that's shit, bro. Like, you just keep playing the drums.
It's funny. Like, I think I need that sometimes.
Oh,
like,
yeah?
that's why a duo was so good, because it was like, you know, you always had that second ear, or
Yeah.
that, like, especially playing live. I think Tommy was always the better DJ. The sort
Oh, was he?
I think
Because
so.
he said
yeah.
you were better at writing in production with production. He said he was a bit more maybe the mixing sort of stuff, and you came up with the best ideas.
Yeah, I'd always write everything, and then he'd sort of mix it down and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
That's what you need in a good duo, though. It's got to be you both got to be
give
good
and
at.
take, and
Yeah, you can't if you're both good at one thing, or you're both good at both things. Usually, like, how many duos do you know where they're both really good at DJing and really good at production and really good at writing? You know?
Where they, yeah.
It's
I know what you're
usually
saying.
one's really good at something and the other one's better at something else.
The other one's the DJ. Or,
Yeah. Like I think every successful duo is like that. Otherwise, they're just into both solo artists.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
Because it's like what you said. Like, why do I need this other person? We can both do, the
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
We'll just collab every now and again on the track, like
yeah.
But that's kind of like how it is, I think.
We'll call your name Dimitri Vargas and like Mike, where you're two separate DJs, but
two
you're a
separate
duo.
people, but always
just
play
in case.
together.
Just in
And
case.
always, yeah.
If we split, we've still got a brand.
We've still
each.
got our own things.
50-50.
So when you did you grow up with Tommy? How did you meet Tommy? What's
We
the
went to
story
school
there?
together. He was
Yeah.
a year above me, and in bands and stuff. One of his our drummer was good friends with him, and I think that's
Yeah.
how I met him.
Okay.
And his older brother, and
Yeah.
then we all played in bands together. So
Yeah. What did Tommy play? I didn't know. Oh,
bass.
he's a bass. He's a
Mm.
bass boy. Yeah, I didn't. He was
So his big fingers he's got, bro. That's,
big
works
long
for him.
fingers and shit. Yeah.
yeah.
Because he was the second episode of this show, and back then, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing really. It was just like let's have some beers and
And
turn
chat.
the mics on and just have a chat sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So now I like to actually go back and go like, oh, how did you start in music? Like, what was your
Mm.
background and stuff like that?
Mm.
Because I think it's interesting for people to hear that you were someone who played in bands and was a guitarist and stuff and made that transition. So when they're younger people who maybe hear this and they're like, oh yeah, I play guitar. Oh, I'd never thought about doing that. I think it's
Yeah.
interesting to see, how the things progress.
Well, I never had a plan for anything. Like,
Who has a
and this goes
Like,
back
how
to the
many
school
people-
shit
yeah,
where I was
yeah,
saying
yeah,
I was
yeah.
always terrible at school and like getting grades and shit. Just
Yeah.
can't be bothered. But until I grew up, now I plan things a bit better. That I've got
Yeah,
a business
yeah.
and other people
That's it,
rely on
yeah,
me
yeah.
and shit, But I never planned anything and just sort of played guitar, ran events, and moved into this and that,
Yeah.
and everything's sort of just slowly progressed in a positive way because I was passionate about it.
Did you ever think music was good? Like, did you always think that music was going
Yeah,
to be your
100%.
thing? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, for sure.
You never had any other
No.
ideas? Like, you're like, oh, maybe I might do this or might do that.
I don't think I thought it'd be like what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Which in a strange way,
Thought you were going to be a
what I'm
rock
better
star
at.
in a band or something, playing lead
Yeah,
guitar.
yeah. Like when I was a
Yeah,
kid,
yeah.
I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. And I think the business side of things, like, is probably what I'm better at, But I think all that stuff teaches you shit along the way to give you the skills.
And you
to be able
learn
to
what
do
you're
I'm
better,
doing
what
now.
you're good at, like, because you're not doing when you were younger playing in bands. You weren't doing the business stuff. You didn't know you would be
No.
good at that at all.
Well, I think, bro, every little thing I've done, and I've done lots, like the bands, the DJs, doing the club, having a record label. I mean, we did printing even, and flyers and shit. And
Yeah.
we were doing
Back in the day when flyers were like a big thing, like that was the main thing. It's
Yeah,
like you do
and-
an event, you need flyers.
yeah, fuck Facebook,
Like,
and
you don't need-
MySpace and
there's-
shit. It was like
There's
flyers,
no
bro.
online stuff.
Yeah,
You need flyers, bro,
so
and you
we-
need to go and put them out
We
on
would
poles, and
Yeah,
walls,
right.
and oh man, that shit was. I used to hate that. It's like walking around putting flyers up, tape, scissors, like.
Yeah. I think
Oh, there's cops
maybe-
coming! Quick! Get out. Well, they're gone. They didn't see
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
yeah, you put up 100 and there'd be like 20 left the next day. We used to get fines all the time from council actually out in Ipswich.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've always believed that like Facebook's great and all that, but there's that old school mentality is sort of what's lacking, and it's sort of what sets you apart. If you can come up with ideas that other people aren't doing,
Yeah.
it's like flyers are great. People see them, put them in the right spots. You're still like getting people, and you can put an event up on Facebook, but how many people check it? Like all those sort of old school mentalities are sometimes a good thing. Do you
remember like walking up like the valley and like going to shops and go, oh hey guys, I've got a poster here for an event coming up. Do you mind if I put it in like your change room or something? Like, can I stick this up on your like in your window or like something like that?
And do you remember like Scene Mag and all these like
all the magazines and stuff? Yeah, and you like
you actually used to read.
Yeah,
yeah,
it used to be a thing.
Yeah. So yeah, we used to get fines from. That's what I was saying. We used to get fines from the council all the time because we were still doing that shit like for years.
Yeah. Well, it used to be the thing, and like I even remember doing the attic stuff and putting like flyers up and stuff for like.
How old are you?
Oh, we can't give out all the secrets, mate. No, I'm actually 33 on
really
on Saturday.
So we sort of came through at the same sort of. I'm younger than him, by the way.
We'll say that. He can grow a better beard though, so that's what matters.
Mate, I haven't had a trim in like what must be 2-3 months now.
Oh,
2 months.
Yeah,
probably.
this is about a month and a half, 2 weeks almost. Obviously, I have shaved here a bit, but like this is the longest my mo's ever been. It's pretty gross. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm just growing it out. Isolation. Growing the hair too. Scram's gonna give us a haircut, and I just said I'll grow my hair out. You can go nuts. Do whatever. Like, she's a hairdresser. It's not just some random person. And I was like, do whatever you want. I'll grow it out. When we're allowed out to play, you can give us a haircut.
A proper haircut.
Yeah.
So she's gonna give you an ISO haircut and then a proper one later.
Well, I was like, I'm just gonna grow it and then just sort of hit her up and go, look, do like if you want to put color in, you want to cut it, like whatever you want to do. Give me a perm, I don't care. Full creative freedom,
Yeah.
Because I'm all about that.
I can only dream, hey.
Yeah. Well, I could say the same thing about the beards. So, we've all got our strengths and weaknesses.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, like I can, I sort of heard of and knew you and Tommy through the Addicts events, blah blah blah. I probably came into that crew around 2010, 2011. So I think that's where I saw you guys play and would have met you and that kind of thing. So what happened before then? When did you start in the scene? Was that around when you started? Because
Tommy and that were DJing at. It's so weird because they were DJing at Hotel Metropole.
Which you ended up
buying.
Yeah.
Years later.
I want to talk about that later, so let's hold off on that and let's talk about that later.
Yeah, so they were running night. They basically started it. It was just a pub.
Yeah.
And they started there was a spare room upstairs, function room or something.
Yeah.
And they started running stuff up there, and then that got quite big, and they wanted to open downstairs, and I think they were probably just too lazy to do that. So they're like, do you guys want to run this? You can run your own crew down there. You can look after that. So we started doing that, and that's sort of how we started DJing together.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yeah. So you didn't really play. Did you ever play by yourself or?
Yeah, I was by myself back then.
You would play. You were playing by yourself, but he was playing as well there, but as a solo.
No, he was in like a. What do you call them? Not like there was 3 of them.
A trio. A group, a collective. Tommy, what do you call yourself? Tell us in the comments. I'm gonna hit him up to tell us. They
were called Rhythm Division, which was pretty sick name.
Rhythm Division, yeah.
Rhythm Division.
I feel like I've heard of that.
Yeah, well, they used to play Mono and Empire and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
All the break stuff.
So this was before Slop Rock. What years are we talking here?
I don't know, bro. It's all about.
I don't know, mate. Come on, you're younger than me.
No, honestly, I couldn't tell you. I must have been 19 or something, 20 maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was still a pup, and then we what happened?
Hear that though? Like you said, I was still a pup, 19, 20. Like I've met people who are like 19, 20, and they're like, "Oh man, I feel like we've been DJing forever." And I'm just like, "Oh what?" They're like, "Yeah, I started a year ago."
Man, when you hit 30, so you're like, "I'm young as
man, like
I'm young as fuck. I'm 30. Like, who cares? Like,
I'm like, I started 12 years ago. Like,
it's when you hit like 60 and shit. That's old.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you
that's
start.
it.
But even then, we'll probably hit that and be like, I'm feeling good.
We'll be writing bangers in our own little studios in the
Yeah.
in the nursing home.
Yeah.
Can we build a studio out the back in the shed of the nursing home, please? How much for Ableton 30? You know,
30.
like Ableton 30. They'll be up to that by then, surely.
No doubt. You'll be able to export MP3s.
Yeah, everything will be wireless. It'll be on the cloud. You won't even need a computer. You just need like a keyboard or some shit. So yeah, so you were playing it at Metro before you owned it.
Yeah.
Out there, yeah.
Weird.
And then you and Tommy sort of, how did that happen that you guys started playing together?
I don't know. I can't remember, bro. Honestly.
Well,
But no, but we
you
were in
just knew
bands and
each other,
stuff, and
you'd been in bands.
we were kind of musical. Like we kind of
just
played
hang
a
out.
lot.
You were
Yeah.
friends, I suppose.
Yeah, and
back
I think
then?
we
Yeah,
were just
already.
hanging out, DJing
Yeah.
and shit, and then we're like, fuck it, I think our first gig was at Mono, supporting D Cup, which I like shat myself about at the time. I was like, oh my god, this is too big.
Yeah, man. D-Cup back in the day. I'd forgotten
And at
about
Mono,
D-Cup.
because I'd never played Mono, but
Yeah,
Tommy had 100 times.
I'd
and
forgotten
never
about
played it.
D-Cup until you just said his name.
And it was that time. It was like, we know speak Americano on the fly and shit. I was like, this is too much. I'm
Yeah.
going to flake.
You're like,
But,
Tommy, you just take over. I'm just going to stand here and dance in the corner. Yeah.
we did that heaps of times anyway.
Yeah.
Mitch is too drunk. Tommy. But yeah. And then we just started playing around the valley, and it's hard to remember now.
Yeah, too many big nights, eh?
Yeah. Well, we
You'd
ended
be
up
surprised-
at Family and then over to Met. And
Yeah.
oh no, Family, GPO, and then over to Met.
Yeah.
So we started when Angus and that bought GPO, we started running that.
Yeah.
And then they bought Met and we moved across. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the writing music then? Like, how did that start? Because was Tommy writing music with Rhythm Division before you guys started?
I think we were both sort of doing it around about the same time, to be
Yeah.
honest. And I'm not too sure.
Always on Ableton?
No, I was on Fruity Loops and stuff like that.
FL, yeah, yeah.
I was
When
actually-
it was called
okay.
Fruity Loops.
Okay, I was actually writing rap beats for like
Yes.
years, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Years. And we would all come around and yeah, I can't say it was you would just drink and
Yeah,
and we'd all rap
We were having
actually
fun,
to
yeah,
pretend,
yeah.
like just rap on these and we were fucking terrible, but it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where I started like writing.
I love it when someone like starts in a totally different genre, but then like the main thing that they end up doing.
Well, it was actually a complete
heaps
piss
different.
take because we would just come
Yeah.
around and drink and
Yeah, and just
and then,
working on shit. Yeah, yeah.
and we
beats.
were like, oh, we should start a rap crew like for a joke, and then it'd be like, well, I'll jump on Fruity Loops, fuck it, and then that's
Yeah.
how like as a complete joke, and ended up doing it properly.
That's
years
how you
later.
learn.
So yeah,
Your learning of it was
did it as
joke.
a complete piss take.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
writing rap. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, is
pretty
there
weird.
is there any files out there anywhere on anyone's computer
there is,
that
but
we
no
can-
one's
that
ever.
we
I-
can, no,
no,
not to put out on the internet. I'm just saying.
I've still got
one time. Can I be privileged enough to hear this one time?
Yeah,
like
you
we'll
can. Yeah,
we'll,
I'll show
we'll
you
hang
some
out
stuff,
one
but-
time. Maybe get you and Tommy around and we'll.
We
we'll
actually,
listen
he
to some
came around
tunes.
recently. We were listening to it all and just like in
That's
hysterics,
so
bro.
good.
But-
Yeah.
and it's funny listening to like your 18-year-old self, like
And
rapping.
remembering back then,
Just
like,
like, oh
I
my
remember when I
God.
was doing this. I was
Yeah.
sitting here. We'd
like,
just done this. Like,
What
yeah,
is this shit?
because it's so
yeah.
different when you see or you hear or you whatever like an old thing from back in the day, and then you get all the memories back. It's like sitting here talking to us. It's like, oh yeah, I don't really remember. But then if someone showed you like a video or a little audio clip from back then, you'd be like, all right, yeah, that's right. That was the night when this happened or something, like, you know.
But
it
this
always
is the
brings
crazy
back.
thing we were talking about before, with like passion and not having a plan, and we were just like doing it because it was fun. Like,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
everything I've ever done, even to this day, like if it's not fun, I'm not really interested. To be honest, if I
Yeah.
don't find it like
Yeah, yeah,
intriguing in some way, I'm kind of like, nah, not for me.
yeah,
And I think if you just, like you were saying before about how those kids say like, oh, maybe I could DJ if I was a guitarist. Like, just if you have a passion for it, do it.
yeah.
I've never really thought about it in a business sense or trying to make money from shit. Or I've sort of always just fell
Yeah.
into that because we were passionate and shit. When you're
So
passionate,
why did you
shit
buy a
works.
club then?
Yeah.
If
Well,
you
that to
wanted-
me when I was
If you were into fun, why did you buy a club?
Well,
What's that about?
well, there was a group of us.
How did that
it.
start? Like, was it an opportunity you saw or something? And it was
Well,
a
we were
group and you
running
thought it was
events
fun?
there
Yeah.
and blah blah blah, and then we stopped, and then it came up for sale, and the guy I was working with, Jason Trembath, he was sort of like pretty much a mentor, like to me throughout for years, bro.
Yeah.
And I was working for him. We were doing, like I was saying before, the printing stuff, and he had a company called Crank Management, and we were doing all the staging and stuff for like trash bags and
Yeah.
all mono events and just tons of shit. We were repairing CDJs for family and everyone. Pretty much anything you needed for your club that was
One-stop
technical,
shop.
like that anyone would pretty much come to him. So I was
Yeah.
working for him. And then it came up for sale, and Matt Lee, him, me, I think there was a few others. We were like, let's just do it. So we did it.
Give
And
it a
my role
crack.
then wasn't to do anything like technical. It was just to run the parties, like, because that's what I
Yeah.
did.
You're
you
like
know?
the promoter
I wasn't
or
a
whatever
business
you want to be
person at
called.
all.
Yeah, yeah. You're
I-
just the
I
person
wasn't ready for that
booking
shit,
and
bro.
running the that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
yeah, I was a kid and I was still partying and I was still like, I was like, fuck yeah, I'll throw some
Fuck
parties.
yeah,
Like,
I'll run.
and we were-
I'll help run
yeah,
a club.
100%.
That sounds like fun. Yeah.
And it was fucking fun for years. We were like, imagine, bro, 25 rolling around fucking with all the alcohol you can drink and,
Anything you want.
lording around the place. And it was
Yeah.
fucking busy back then, bro, because we were
Yeah.
out in the just outside of Brisbane. So it wasn't too far for people to travel, and people did travel like
Yeah.
to go out there. And because it was a Friday night party that was like popping, that didn't really exist in the valley. Like Friday nights were traditionally really quiet,
Yeah.
and Saturday nights were really busy, and then the opposite in the burbs. So we were really
Yeah.
quiet on Saturdays. So Friday nights we were always rammed, just like heaving for years.
Yeah.
And so it was.
How
it
long
was a
did you have
wild
it for?
time, bro? We had it for like 5 years, I think.
Man, to me it felt like you were out there for not 5 years, but that's
like
just
less or more, or
less.
Nah.
Feels like to me it feels like you're out there for 2 years, a year. But like you don't always take notice of other people what they're doing and stuff, So
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Probably took a couple of years for all the Brisbane.
to realize it was
stuff,
like
like
out
it
there,
was
yeah.
going on
Because
out
I
there.
remember talking to you at one stage, and I think this was like right near the end of when it all sort of happened about like playing a set, and you were like, yeah, let's hook it up, and like we were like trying to work something out, and then it was like, it was like, oh no, we're not.
We got rid of it.
Yeah, we got rid of it. So it was.
Well,
That would have been
eventually,
right
like,
near the
okay,
end,
so
yeah.
eventually, I grew up a bit, I think.
Yeah.
And I was just looking around, like, fuck, man, I'm like nearly 30, and it's like I'm standing amongst a bunch of 18-year-olds, and this is
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
a bit whack. I was just getting a bit out of that whole
You
thing.
needed to sort of
So, and at the time, I'd like through Metro and booking heaps of acts. I'd seen heaps of guys that were fucking awesome, and just needed a bit of a help. I mean,
Yeah.
I started Catch by myself, and it was
Yeah.
for that reason. Like I thought, I've already done this shit. I'm not saying I can make them superstars.
Yeah.
At the time, we were kind of like keeping it pretty chill. I was like, but we could help them like smash through the Brisbane scene. And we could help them, like,
because that's
not make a
you'd
lot of
been
the
through
mistakes that
Brisbane scene.
we'd made,
Yeah.
or lessons we'd learned, or and branding and things like that. That I was like, we can help these guys heaps. So we sort of took a bunch under our wing, or my wing, and then this is prior to Benny coming on.
Yeah.
And then I think I booked Benny at Metro one night, and it was like as simple as like, "What are you up to at the moment?" Because we hadn't seen each other for a while.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I got this thing going on. Do you want to come help me? I need
Yeah.
help because it's sort of spiraling.
Yeah.
And he was like, yep, sweet, sounds good. And that was it.
Yeah.
Like,
That
pretty
was
much.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
it was as simple as that. It wasn't like a crazy. I think we hand shook. And,
Yeah.
And
Alright.
then we partied that night.
It's-
Till like 6
And
a.m.
you wake
or
up the next day, it's like, what did we say
Yeah,
we
what
were
did
going to
we-
do
yeah,
together
exactly.
again? Like, we were going to, are we
But
doing
it-
a duo, or are we like, what, are we going on a holiday somewhere, or what's going on? Like,
But yeah, no, it was never weird. It was kind of like, oh, well, that happened. Cool. Let's do it.
yeah.
You know,
But that's
so
how
we
some
did.
of the best,
Organic.
like, like,
Even when we sign
partnerships
artists
or
and things
whatever
like
go
that,
on,
I
yeah.
try and keep it pretty organic. Anything that feels forced, I generally back out of.
yeah.
Anything that doesn't feel right, or
Yeah.
has ended up not working out for me traditionally. So now I try and steer clear of it,
Yeah. Trust your instincts, I
Yeah.
suppose. Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro. So then that started happening and started spiraling, and Metro just wasn't passionate about it anymore.
Yeah.
And it definitely, I know I went through a divorce and just shit like that happened. And
Life. Yeah.
yeah, and I just stopped paying attention to it, honestly. And it just started
Yeah.
plummeting. So we were kind of at one point just like, you know what? None of us really want to be here.
Yeah.
Let's bounce.
Let's bounce.
So we did.
Yeah. I remember it's just funny talking about like, you know, to you about like Bonker and that. I remember when I was doing the head promotion at Family, meeting the Bonker boys when they were like just starting out, like hadn't really played any gigs or anything.
Mm.
They were like, you know, like met them and they were like, oh man, we'd love to play at Family, you know, like, and they literally hadn't played anywhere basically. I think they'd maybe played once at GPO or something.
It's weird because when I signed them, they had played heaps of places. And
Yeah.
they played interstate and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were with an agency that wasn't doing much for them.
Yeah.
And probably why you think that they weren't doing much is to pull them off, we had to do like a 6-month non-compete.
Yeah.
So basically they just had to like stop to get them off there to come to us.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. But yeah, they definitely...
This would have been like 2015 times.
It was a long time ago, man.
It was a long time ago.
And that was a shit fight. That took 6 months just to get to that point. And then when we finally... They gave up and they were like, yeah, okay, you can have them. You know, we'll release them. Yeah, it took 6 months before we could really do shit.
I think this was before that, though. I think this was before
Maybe
that.
it was.
I met
Maybe
them.
they were like, you're talking them real young.
Real young, bro. Like, and I was talking to them and they were like, oh, we'd love to play here. And I was sort of like, at the time, I was like, you know, I was like, oh man, this is Family. Like, we're trying to like, you know, and this was like when we, you know, Family and Met were like neck and neck, you know, kind of thing back in the day. You guys would have been playing at the Met, I think.
Maybe. Or GPO or something. Yeah.
Or something like that. And I said to him like, look, like we're trying to book guys who like, and I wasn't even in charge of bookings. Like that was George Carmichael was still there, and you know, and Harry and all that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, look, we're trying to like, you know, book guys who have, you know, done their time. Like, you know, where, you know, Family's the top dogs. Like we need to
earn your stripes.
You got to earn your stripes.
Yeah.
That's basically what I said to him, and in a nice way, you know. And I was like, but definitely, I want to come see you play, like, and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But it's interesting because I met them then, and then it's been, you know, years later, and it's like, oh, they fucking did it. Like, you know, they're doing well. Like they're, you know.
Yeah.
So it's awesome seeing people. Same with Dimes. Like I met Jaden when he was on his own before Dimes. You know.
Yeah. They're funny boys, man. Like they're so into
Good
it.
personalities as well, you know.
I've never met anyone as passionate as Con, and Lockie as well. But Con is like on another level.
Yeah,
just super passionate, super keen. Any idea we have, he's like, "Yep, let's do it." You know, like he's just always down.
And that's what you want as a manager,
100%.
isn't it? You want someone who's like up for anything. We'll give it a crack.
Yeah. So yeah, that's sort of why I pulled those boys, because I could see that in them.
Yeah.
And they were already doing bits, and I just thought, yeah, I can help them for sure.
Yeah.
I already had a few guys on there, I think, and then they sort of spiraled pretty quickly, bro. Once we started, got them off that deal and started booking shows interstate. They took off pretty quick. Now they're just killing it, really.
Now it's just almost like you got to just get it to that next level, international.
We're doing, so it's like,
because that's it. Like everyone I would imagine most people who enjoy dance music in Australia, unless they're in little niche techno scenes or drum and bass or whatever scenes, the general population who are into dance music would know who Bonker is. I imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a Queensland thing from Brisbane. Maybe. I don't know.
No, we're putting a lot of focus on. I mean, they've played overseas quite a bit now.
Yeah.
But we're really trying to, you know, like you said, take that next level. We want.
Yeah.
Obviously, want
that's
to be
where
the
they're at.
biggest
I
in the
think,
world,
in my mind,
that's the
anyway.
goal.
When I think of Bonker, I think they're probably ready for that next level to either really smash Australia or start, you know, working on overseas stuff. I don't know.
Well, yeah, the focus for them is just like
what's the goal at the moment? What's the goal?
The goal's number one in the world, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's got to be always the goal.
But no, what we're getting them onto an agency for Europe is like the goal now.
Yeah,
they've done Asia plenty.
Yeah,
they're with someone in India now. Like they are playing overseas quite a bit, which is, I mean, great too, because it gets them out of Oz.
Yeah,
you know, quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it eases the pressure off that.
Yeah.
As far as bookings and stuff like that go.
Yeah.
But we're in talks with a few people at the moment, and hopefully things pan out. But we're definitely putting a focus on releasing stuff on some major overseas labels. We've been doing a lot with Mix Mash, and there's a few things in the works coming With some,
Drop any
nah.
exclusive shit. I was like, come on, give us a little bit of something.
But yeah, they're working hard on all that sort of stuff. So once we, building their presence in those territories through music, once we do that.
Well, like I was saying to you before we started, I was like, man, I need to get another mic. So I can have two guests.
Yeah,
Once I get that and we sort it out, I'll have to hit you up to get the Bonker Boys on because
for sure.
I already know them. So it's but it'll be interesting to talk to them about what's happened since.
They're funny, dude.
And they can tell me about where they were at that stage.
You won't even have to speak.
When I hit them up.
Yeah,
perfect. That's the best podcast when I just go and ask one question and then just sit back and drink beer the whole time and let them talk. Like,
but no, they're man, they're killing it. Like their book's solid. Their fees are reflective of the top tier in Oz now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I see them play a lot of big gigs and festivals and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so they're definitely in my mind, they're a very festival friendly act.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, they're definitely in that top tier now here. So it's just making those stepping stones. Like we've been building up in Asia and all these other, like India and stuff like that for quite some time. But Europe is obviously somewhat the final frontier. So, but even their North America stuff now is going crazy. Like the last two singles have hit top 20 in the Billboard charts now, which is just.
I imagine they would do well in America. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't expect it at all.
That's dope.
And it kind of just happened organically. So we're like, holy shit. And then the next single did it as well. We're like, okay,
that's sick. Yeah,
something's happening here now. So yeah, it's very cool to watching them come from playing Venga Boys at Metro with no shirt on.
I remember. I remember seeing like their early because that's the thing. Like I said,
I remember them playing Family for the first time, and they dropped what'd they drop? Mambo number 5 or something, and all the family DJs were standing around like chin stroking, like, what? No, not having this.
What's going on?
Don't
here,
like that. Not here. Not here. You're not doing that, boys.
That's not our brand, boys. That's GPO shit.
They were like, we don't give a fuck. We're just doing what we do,
Yeah.
And
but they always bring the party and the fun.
I got 4 calls after that show. Your boys. Taking the fucking piss last night at Family. We were off it. Super off it. It's funny. But
that's it though. Like people, as long as you keep grinding, you keep working on it and you push forwards.
That's it.
Yeah, everyone's gonna have hiccups.
I just don't think they give a fuck. I don't even think it was a hiccup.
Yeah. Oh no, but I mean hiccups in terms of what other people think and stuff like that. You're like,
oh man, fuck everyone else. Do it. Like that's another thing. You gotta stop doing that stuff. Like eventually, if you think it's you're doing what you do, just do it. And if it's working for you, cool. Forget everyone else.
And I think that's what people love. Nonsense. It's them doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like people love authenticity. If they can see you being authentic, they love that. So it's only when people are like putting personas on and fake and stuff like that. That it's a problem. So what's apart from the agency, what else are you doing these days? You're not writing music, you're not DJing. Is it all full agency? Like, is that your life?
Yeah, we're getting pretty busy now.
You don't go and play golf on Saturdays or anything?
Yeah, like obviously have a life. Try to. But yeah, no, we're crazy busy, man. We're putting in the hours. Like, especially before this stuff happened, it wouldn't be unusual to be working like at 3 a.m. and shit, sometimes. Yeah. To our own clocks and
that proper grind. Not like that. Oh yeah, I do a 12-hour day.
Well, there's a responsibility too, Like one thing we've always been like, how would you say? One thing we've always tried to do is have a small roster.
Yeah.
And make sure that everyone's getting attention.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing like agencies with huge rosters. And some people are just getting like, not looked after, not paid attention to, or just sitting on a roster, not playing any shows, to me, it's just like, well, what's the point of being on there? And this stuff happened to me when I was DJing. Like we signed with Concrete and a few, like some agencies were great for us, some weren't. And I was just like, fuck that, I've been through that. And you get so excited when you're in.
Yeah, because you get signed.
Like, fuck yeah, I'm signed.
I want an agency. I'm signed.
To this biggest agency in Oz or whatever.
Yeah.
Back in the day, that's like what we were like. We were like, fuck, this agency's massive. This is gonna be so good for us. And then not one show. And it was like, what's the fucking point? And then like,
that you've got a website and you're on the bottom of the website.
And being on that website prevents you from being on another website. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So there's people that could do well for you, but because you're over there, you've cooked yourself essentially.
That's what it's always about that good match, isn't it?
Well, I
It's
think
it's not
unless
just about a good agency or a good artist. It's about the match and
yeah, for
how they
sure.
work together well. Yeah.
But yeah, one thing where we definitely pride ourselves on is having a smaller roster, making sure that everyone's getting attention. And there's that, yeah, bro, like we were talking about, there's that sense of responsibility that, like, if you have that artist, you definitely want to, put in the hours and make sure you're doing the best you can for them.
Yeah.
Regardless of the results, like, as long as you're hustling and you're fucking doing everything you can, then you've done your job,
Yeah, that's it.
If you're not, and they're not playing shows and you're not giving a shit, then let them go.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be on the roster.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my opinion.
Whether it's them or it's you, whatever it is, it's got to be, like I said, it's got to be the good fit. It's got to, you got to be able to do for them what, you've got a certain contact list of venues and places that people can play, and if it doesn't match up with the kind of music or their vibe or whatever, then it's like, well,
100%,
maybe you need to find someone else that can do that
yeah,
for you.
for sure, bro. Yeah, and artists change and stuff too. There's been some artists that we've had that started with us in one way and they wanted to go in different directions and stuff, and it was just like, well, we're not.
That's not
the
what
right
we really
person
do.
for you.
Yeah.
Not that
Yeah.
you shouldn't do that. We don't think you should do that, or we're gonna stop you from that.
So
It was
we can't
more
really
like,
help
well,
you with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do what you want to do, but like that's probably not our field, or
Yeah.
But as we've progressed, bro, and time's taken on, we are like jumping into different genres and fields, and
Yeah. So what would you say your main
EDM
thing?
like,
EDM
yeah.
sort of vibes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's your main thing. Yeah.
Yeah, big room, all that sort of stuff. So
Big room. That takes me back to like, what Slop Rock used to be about. Like, because you guys like played like a heap of like that kind of stuff, like big roomy sort of like EDM sort of vibes, right?
Yeah. And then we went into like the jungle terror sort of stuff for a little bit, and then we were sort of on the ways out.
Yeah.
But we just sort of started, like, we got to a point where we were playing quite a lot of shows interstate and stuff, and it was just like, I don't know, it got to a point where it's just like, I don't want to be away every weekend.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was affecting things for me personally as well at home and stuff. So it was sort of like, let's call this quits.
So who was the there's always one person who's like the partier and one person who's like,
please.
come on, bro, we got to get up for a flight at 6 a.m. Like, it's like 3:30. Like, let's go to bed. Like, let's get out of here.
I think I was both, because I didn't go to sleep, so I was always still.
So you were both.
No,
That gives me
definitely
the
the
answer
reckless
right
one.
there. Yeah,
Definitely
you were the reckless one. Yeah,
100%.
I think Tommy might have said
Tommy
that.
still partied though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know you boys both still party.
Definitely take it. That's one of my detriments.
Yeah,
Definitely take it too far.
it's probably why you're better as a manager.
Still
than
to this
an
day, I'm
artist.
still.
To this
We were
day.
talking about this before. Still take it way too far.
Yeah, but
Can't just have a few beers.
You got to blow out sometimes, mate.
You do.
Yeah, that's
Weekly.
It. Well, yeah. Friday knockoffs. Some of the I was talking to you before, telling you how loose it can get.
Mm-hmm.
So let's maybe talk about, you're someone who's been in the industry for a while, and you've done the artist thing, the DJ thing, the club owner, the promoter, the management.
Mm-hmm.
What's some tips or advice you can give to some of the young kids out there? Maybe someone in the ISO comp that they're, like you said, trying to give, look at people who have passion. From an artist,
yeah, for sure.
Maybe,
I mean, we've
maybe
kind of touched
yeah.
on that. I think as long as you've got the passion and it shows. But another big thing is just knowing who you are, like, and branding and stuff like that. I mean, like, you don't have to kit yourself out and look like, completely like fully fledged.
Yeah.
As far as branding goes and stuff. But if you know what you're about, I think a lot of issues that we see is kids that kind of try and like not stick to one genre, for example, in their production.
Play the trend, or like go for trends.
Or
and
go
stuff,
for trends, or like, and you see it a lot, bro. You see like producers that come out trying to be something, and then things change, and the next genre comes about, or they get a bit more mature, and they go, "I'm just going to do what I want to do now," and then they become super successful. Like you see it all the time in duos or people like that. That sort of just click and go, "Fuck that! I'm just going to be myself," and
I suppose that
and have a clear vision and write music with like in the same genre.
Yeah.
Those sort of things are super important. And when you're trying to build a fan base, you can't expect like people out there that are going to like every single genre or have a taste in every single music or like everything electronic. Like most people they like bass, or they like EDM, or they like house, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I think that's
Yeah.
that's the biggest issue I find when you're young. But in saying that, too, when you're young and you're learning how to write, and you're copying people and trying to come up with
Yeah.
your sound, you do tend to do that. But I think when the time to take it serious is when you know who you are
Yeah.
and what you're ready, like
'Cause
you're ready for that.
You need to try all the things to figure out which one you like.
Yeah, that's it,
especially if you're making
100%.
music or DJing or
And when you
whatever.
start to make music, all you're doing is copying. You're not fucking coming up with your own sounds
Nah.
and shit when you're like,
Nah.
like,
You're using presets, you're using patches, you're using, samples,
yeah.
you're using all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I think that's good. And so, what about being on an agency? Like, what would you say is a tip to someone if you want to pitch to an agency? Like, and maybe it doesn't have to be your agency, because obviously you guys do the EDM sort of stuff.
The biggest
but say
problem
it's another agency.
the biggest,
what's the best way to go about that? You think? Or
the
what's
biggest,
some tips?
the biggest problem I find is people come too early. So they'll like write 2 records and then hit us up. Be like, yo, I'm so and so from Melbourne. I've played 1 show and now I'm looking for management. It's like, yeah,
Pay
you
your
gotta earn your
dues.
stripes
Like we
or
were talking
something.
about
but
earlier,
what's
yeah.
to manage really? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, unless you're like a weapon that's sitting on an album of fucking bangers,
Yeah.
then I might But when you've got 2 records you've written and you're still sort of a bedroom banger, yeah, it's probably too early. That's the biggest problem we find. Like,
Yeah,
we get emails
people
all
too
the
early,
time
yeah.
from people like that.
It's because people don't want to do shit themselves, though. That's what it is. Like, they don't want to
Yeah,
brand.
yeah.
They don't want to organize the photo shoot. They don't want to organize the artwork for the logo. They
Yeah.
don't want to organize all that. They just want to write music. And I think that's just that lazy mentality of like,
Mhm.
oh, yeah, I'll just get someone else to do it and they'll do that.
I think
and
it's
then
so
we'll
reflective
blow
of
up.
this time, bro. Like, and just
Yeah.
this era of like, we want everything now,
Yeah. Instant success.
Yeah.
Patience. You need
And then
patience.
everyone's on Insta pretending to be like who they're not.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
like trying to, just hustle their, like, pretend like they're fully fledged.
Yeah.
And it just takes time, and it's okay to, like, take 4 or 5 years and write tunes and not try and be
Bro,
on an agency.
I've been writing tunes for like 6-7 years now, and I still own. Sometimes I'll write something and be like, man, that's so shit. You know what I mean? Like, you write a tune and you finish it, and you're thinking, like, you're into it while you're writing it, and then, like, you don't listen to it for a bit, and it'll go one or two ways. You won't listen to it for a bit, and you'll listen to it and go, fuck, that's actually pretty good. Like, that's way better than I remember. Or you listen to it and go, fuck, man, that's so
It's the
shit. I
next
still
morning
hate
thing.
my music.
It's
I
the
still
next-
hate my music.
You'll be writing and you'll be up till like 5 a.m. and then you wake up the next day and you're like, fuck, I'm keen to hear this back, and then it's trash and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
bro.
Oh, I need to give up. Yeah. But everyone goes through those moments of I suppose self-doubt and stuff like that. So I suppose that's the other
Well,
good
the
thing
thing is
about
too,
having...
like, even the fully fledged guys, bro, like, you write like 10 ideas, one of them might become a record. Like,
Yeah.
they're still writing shit,
Yeah.
every now and then. Like, sometimes it's not
yeah.
your day, bro. And
Yeah,
like, you're
that's
not
it.
gonna jump in the studio and everything you write is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
It's
People
the thing
don't
we're
realise
trying to,
that, though.
Yes, and even the artists, some of the artists we work with, they're kind of like, well, we want to put everything out. It's like, nah, like, not everything's
Nah,
gonna
bro.
be on a label. Not everyone's gonna sign something.
Yeah.
And it's a good indication that if they don't and it's being pitched,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be going out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, even some of our guys struggle with that concept. Like, and I guess you love it. You've written it. You want to put it out.
It's personal to you.
Yeah,
It's
of
like,
course.
What do you mean it sucks? It's so good, bro. Oh man, that bass line just doesn't hit. It's not meant to hit. That's the whole point of the song.
So
Well,
I tried
we're
no
writing-
kick this time. And,
But, writing EDM, it's you're not Flume.
Yeah.
Maybe one day you might be, but
but yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a hard reality.
yeah,
Lots of stuff ends up in the bin.
yeah, exactly. And people don't realize that at the start, because the start of making music, it takes forever to make one song, right? And so you might make that one song, and it's trash because you're at the start of your production. That's what you don't understand, is like that once you get good enough, you can make, in that one time you make one song, you
You
can
now
probably
make
make
5
10,
or-
10
yeah.
songs or something.
Yeah.
And one of them will be good. The other 9 will be rubbish. And so
Yep.
it's like, I think production's all about getting quicker at making music,
Yeah.
It's about getting quicker at doing what you do and being able to do a heap of music and
You know,
knowing
the
what's
biggest
good.
thing for me when I was going through that was trying to drop all the technical shit when you're writing. Was the biggest thing. Once I
Yeah.
learned that,
Just
like,
to write.
don't worry about trying to EQ something or
Yeah.
like, you know, trying to make everything sound like finished and, you know, like when you're writing, just write. And
Yeah.
if it sounds like shit, cool, like whatever, you know,
Yeah.
like when you've got an idea that's fully fleshed, you're like, okay, I'm going to make this into something, or yes, this will become a record.
Yeah.
Then jump in and do all the technical stuff and,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
try and make shit sound good. Because when you're trying to do all that stuff and be technical, and it's just ruining you.
You
Like
can
your
only do
flow.
so many
Yeah.
things at once, you know? Like, we're
That's a big-
human.
that's
We're
a-
human. We can only do so many
That
things
was a
at
big
once.
pointer. I think once I like learned to just refrain from trying to make shit sound amazing immediately,
Yeah.
my workflow and my writing became a lot better and
Yeah.
smoother and faster. And yeah, I could
Yeah.
flick through a few ideas and then be like, okay, I like this one, and then we'd work on that.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah,
That's what I always tell people who are starting. I'm like, you got to get used to what you write. It's gonna sound like shit. Like, you got to be used to ideas sounding not perfect, huge bangers. Like, it's not gonna sound like a drop in the club, but you might
When
have
you're
the
writing.
idea there.
yeah.
You know, and then eventually you'll flesh it out and work on it. But you got to be used to, and maybe you'll
Just remember too, like all the big guys, nearly all of them, are sending stuff off to get mixed and mastered. Like
they don't
their
do that
shit's
shit.
not sounding like that.
Yeah,
either.
let's lift the curtain
Okay?
off
Yeah.
right now. Like, most of those big, like the
And
biggest
don't be
artists in the
scared to do
world
that shit. It's so crazy.
have a team.
It's so crazy in this day and age when ghosting and having people mix stuff down and master stuff is
Yeah.
like still frowned upon. It's like if someone
Oh,
can,
mate,
if
I'll be the
someone
first one
with
to
a-
say I do not master anything that I do. I do not. I'm not a
Yeah.
mastering engineer. I'm never going to be good at mastering as someone who their job is to master songs.
correct. And
Like,
look,
I'm never going to
bro,
be that good because I'm not going to sit there and learn all the things
some-
that they've learned.
There's some of our guys like Reslow, for example, that still,
Yeah.
you know, is a fucking gun at that shit. He you know, but he's got brains enough to know that he still sends stuff to other people and goes,
Yeah.
can you listen to this or tell me what you think about this? Or
Yeah.
you know, that third ear is like so important.
Yeah.
Especially when you're been listening to stuff for so long.
And a different space, a different studio. A
Yeah.
mastering studio is different to a mixing studio. That's different to a writing
He
studio.
still
They're
still
not-
masters like
Yeah,
all
but
this
you
stuff.
want different
But,
ears on it.
But yeah, he's not afraid to, you know, hey bro, what do you think of this? Or, you know, or, you know, try things, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people get really scared of
They want to do
the mix
everything
master
themselves.
shit especially. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know, that's right, like what
I
you
would
said.
say
it's-
even the, like, you know, obviously the top tier guys, their stuff gets mixed and mastered. Even the mid tier guys get their shit mixed and mastered.
Mhm.
You know, it's like have got this idea that, oh, I want to do it all myself. I want to mix it myself. I want to master it myself, and that's great because you can get it to a certain level. You know,
There's so
where-
many guys like
Yeah.
that, like we were talking about Reed, so that send stuff to him that are fully fledged producers and
Yeah.
can mix and master their own shit.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just best to let someone else like.
because you've heard it so many times, and
Yeah.
they do something, you get it back, and you go, "Oh man, I would never have thought to do that with,
Yeah.
with that bass line or with that whatever
Uh-huh.
it is. I would never have spread that synth to the like stereo width or something like that." So I think it's healthy to do that and to understand that if you want to be an artist, you got to write.
I think the Peking
You gotta
Duck
come up
boys were
with
the
the
first
idea.
ones to sort of drill that into me.
Who, sorry?
Peking Duck, I like.
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
talking about it, and I was like, mix and master. I was like, what the fuck? You guys are crazy. And they were like, well, bands do it, and they've
Yeah.
been doing it since like the dawn of time.
Forever.
That's
yeah.
not our job. Our job is to be a musician.
Yeah.
And then take what you've written and give it to the people that's their job, you know? And I
Yeah.
was like, that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so easy to say like you got to do everything yourself and you're not a real producer unless you're doing it. But I was like, that hit me and I was like, oh, true. Like
Yeah.
that's so true. How
It-
can
yeah.
you
Exactly.
argue with that, you know? So
yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's
like,
a big thing as well.
You know, I have people send me stuff to mix and master for them, and I mix and master it for them. But they're, just starting out, and it's like they're not going to afford to pay a mixing and mastering engineer that's top tier. But then with my stuff, I don't master my own stuff, like I said.
But
you
man,
know.
there's awesome people in Oz that don't charge a fortune. It's
Yeah.
it's not as it's $150 might get you a fucking quality mix and master.
Yeah,
You know, There's a lot of people out there that do it. We still like stem masters and stuff. I think
Stem masters are sick. Like,
well, that's all we do with, like, especially the pop stuff. Anything that's going to go to radio
yeah.
or we always do that. And even that's not that expensive, bro.
Yeah,
Honestly, a couple $100 or something. I think we pay.
Yeah. I suppose it just depends what you want the end product to be and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can go overseas and you can do the Wham Amp stuff, but there's people like Klaus and Reese and stuff that are fucking guns at it.
Yeah.
Amazing at it, and they're not going to charge you, any more than a couple $100 or something like that for a master.
That's it.
Like, not a big deal.
Mate, get a day job, save your pennies.
That's the other thing. Always remember, actually, this is another tip. It's like, always remember, once it's out, it's out forever. Look back on that Beatport profile in 10 years and be like, holy fuck, I wish I got that mastered, or I wish, professionally, or, you regret that stuff in time. So, like, just, that's a big thing. Once it's out, it's out.
Save up a few dollars.
Yeah.
Get someone good to do it.
It's worth it. Yeah.
This is an ad for mastering engineers. This is probably brought to you by mastering and mixing engineers. This part of the show.
Yeah.
But it's so true, man. It's so true. And it's something you learn after a while in the industry. It's like, it's like you don't have to do it all yourself. You can get help.
Mm-hmm.
Even with like production stuff. Like sometimes I'll like send a MIDI patch to a synth up here, and I'll have a friend who knows nothing about music, and I'll just like be recording and go, hey man, have a play with those knobs. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like just turn them and stuff. Like, and most of the time it sounds shit, but sometimes there'll be a little bit where they'll do something that you would never have thought of doing.
Yeah.
And
that's the whole thing about
that's
this.
sick. And maybe you don't use that, but it gives you an idea for something, and you go, oh sweet, I'm gonna do this now. Like,
that's the biggest thing about this whole ghosting thing as well. I think, like, people, it's such a dirty word, but like, what's wrong with coming up with a record or writing something yourself and then flicking it to someone? They might change like a few chords here, or they might change something. It's still your song. You've still written it. You still come up with all the concepts. You've just got a bit of help in making it better than it was.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing? Like, it doesn't have to be that you just pay someone and you do nothing, and they just give you a record.
Yeah,
you
it
can
still be a little bit of
bit of help here and there, or like it's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I'm all about it. So what can we expect from you, like, when things go back to normal? Have you guys got any plans, without giving too much away? You can talk about like things you're working on now, or maybe advice for people to work on now at home, who might be artists or DJs or producers. What should they be working on now? From a management point of view, what's your opinion? We ask all the hard questions here. Once we have a few beers, I ask the hard questions. It's so up in the air, I know, but what do you think?
Not so much up in the air, but like, everyone's different. Like, it depends what you're doing. If just do what you need to do to keep your morale up, I think is a good answer.
So what you love doing, I suppose, like,
or even if it's like you need a break from that and you just want to do something else that keeps you happy and keeps you motivated during this time, then do that. Don't feel like you have to. If you're a producer, you have to be fucking pumping out 10 records now, because otherwise I've wasted my time, or you know what I mean? If that's not going to help your morale and, keep you motivated, then it's not a good thing. But as far as us and what we'll be doing after, we're definitely going to be looking at doing some events in Brisbane. We've got some pretty cool concepts, and we've floated some different venues, and we've found some cool spaces.
I'll have to talk to you after this. I've got some comments as well, so we'll have a chat after this. We'll keep some stuff off the podcast.
And we're actually, I can't talk too much about it, but me and Benny are actually coming up with something completely non-music related. That's going to be like a passion thing for us. Still a business, but something we both are passionate about and wanted to do for a long time. So something pretty cool.
Blow up dolls and stuff. I love when someone says I can't talk about it, and you're just like, oh, so it's this. And then they're like, no. I'm like, oh well, you can't. You said you can't talk about it.
It's alcohol related, so
yeah, nice.
I'll give you that much.
Yeah, nice. I like that.
Like I said, something we're passionate about. So.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, something you're passionate about.
We're like, we can, we can smash this idea.
Yeah, sick.
So that's on the cards, and just getting back to lots of agency stuff, bro. Making sure that everyone's going to be be firing away. It's shit because like everyone was going to be our busiest period ever. The calendars were nearly like pretty much across the board full. The Bonker boys,
because you guys have been
bro,
building and
like,
building and
those
building.
boys were
it's
booked
like,
out until like October, and this happened in like Feb. So like and they had 3 international tours locked away. Like, and as you know, like things don't pop up and advance all that much. So that was pretty crazy for us. We were like, we'd never really seen that before. So yeah, and the rest of the roster the same sort of thing. Like they were all booked pretty much solid. They had their tours ready, and we were gonna have like our busiest period we'd ever had.
Yeah.
So it was, pretty wild. I think we dropped something like 100 shows out of the calendar, 100 something shows. Plus
that's hundreds of thousands of dollars and stuff, then. So
it's a lot of money, bro. And we're still still owed a lot of money from venues and everything. Just
and who knows
bro.
if you'll ever get it, like because it's like, well, they might close, and then it's like,
well, that's
what
the
are you
thing,
gonna do?
yeah. And yeah, I mean, we were pretty civil with everyone. And a lot of these people that we work with, like, it's not straight business, like we've known them for a long time. They're people we do know and have partied with, and you know what I mean.
You've got relationships
so you don't want to be
with them outside of just the business side.
It was more like, that's cool. Let's all work together. We know that your business isn't operating. We're not going to expect you to fucking, like pay cancellation fees and all that sort of shit. Like, let's come out of this together. And when we do, we'll just, we'll move those dates that were penciled. We'll do them again later, So we were pretty civil about it all and stuff, but it's been tough for some venues. Like I said, some still owe money, and where you going to get up? You can't get blood from a stone. You know what I mean?
That's it.
So you just got to work with them as much as you can. Hopefully they come out at the end on top, and business as usual to some extent. So we'll see. But
fingers crossed that everything works out, and it all sort of happens and comes back to normal. Maybe it'll be better
to whatever
than normal.
extent.
Maybe it'll be better than normal, man. Maybe
this is
everyone
what we were
will be
talking about.
super keen at the end to be like, fuck, let's like support, we now understand the value of what we miss out on, and maybe it'll come back
100%.
bigger.
Yeah, we were discussing this today, bro. It's like maybe we will see the rise of the promoter, and there'll be keen kids throwing parties again, and everyone will be super supportive, and whatever capacity we come out of it, we will make it work,
Yeah, cool.
You got to be adaptive, and you got to
That's it. That's the biggest thing at the moment. You've got to be able to pivot and adapt and just go with the flow and figure out and be creative and come up with new innovative ideas.
And I think, like we were saying, we touched on this before. It's like, that's exciting. That's fun.
Yeah, I
it's
find
not
it's
like
exciting,
end of the world. Like, what the fuck are we gonna do? It's like, well, we'll come up with new ideas and new shit, and we'll adapt.
There is
going
to be a new, and that's the thing. Like now, people are embracing technology that we've had for ages. Like we're talking about the Zoom stuff, and like having group chat meetings and stuff. Like that shit's been around for years. We never took advantage of it.
It's so funny because my auntie was like, Zoom, you got to get on Zoom. And then I saw everyone using it, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
Zoom.
Yeah. And it's been around for years and years and years, but we just never really took advantage of it. And maybe it's taken something like this for us to sort of get our minds out of the
outside of the box.
Outside of the box, and think of new things. So I'm excited myself. And it sounds like you're a little bit excited too about some things.
Just keen to get back to it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
let's get it done. Let's hustle.
Cool. Yeah. So where can we find you? Where can we find Catch? Where can we find the agency, like socials or anything? What's the best place
Just
to
Facebook
find?
and Insta, Catch Management. And we've got a website. And
what's the website?
catchmanagement.com.au.
.com.au. Sweet.
That's it.
Awesome, man. Well, I've got some friends coming around for to do some production stuff. So you're welcome to stay as long as you need. And yeah, thanks for coming in.
All good.
And I'm keen to get some of your artists in too, because it'd be interesting. I love finding out about people's stories and how they started, and what their plans are and stuff. So
we'll get some in for sure.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have them in and have a chat. So
easy.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for coming in, man. And
thanks for having me.
We'll see what happens at the end of all this thing.
Cool. See you.
Sweet. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.